Hello there.
General Kenobi!
You are listening to Mando Talk, your home for the Mandalorian chapter breakdowns, speculation, and all kinds of Star Wars fun.
Well, what is up, all of you Ugnaughts and Jawas out there? This is Mando Talk. I'm your host, Caleb Keller. And man, does this look completely different if you're watching it on YouTube. We've got 4 separate screens up. We've got Nolan Ferris back in the studio as always.
What's up?
We've got Brandon Anderson. We've got Jacob Keller. And man, are we finally excited to do this. So a little backstory real quickly. We did a giveaway back in, October to hype up season 2 of The Mandalorian.
Yes.
And our winner of that giveaway got a chance to be on our show, as well as some Mando Talk merch and a bobblehead. And he is here with us. Rebel Scum Texan is now here. What is up, man?
What's up, man?
I feel like right at the top, I should say howdy.
Howdy.
Straight up.
Howdy.
I like it.
Well, with that being said, tell us where you're from.
Well, I 100% am from Texas. I didn't just choose a screen name and hope for the best. No, I live in North Texas in the DFW, Dallas-Fort Worth area.
Okay.
And lived here since 2009. And I grew up down in Central Texas, little town called Madisonville, Texas.
Okay.
Pretty much only known for the fact that there's a Buc-ee's gas station there.
Okay.
Nice.
I don't know if Buc-ee's resonates with y'all, but
Nope. We've got like a twice dailies. And,
it does for the Texans. So
I got you.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I will say this. Your profile picture for Rebel Scum Texan, I mean, that was executed perfectly.
Thank you so much for that, because that was an endeavor in and of its own. It took me a long time to okay, I got to figure something decent out. And then one day I was like, that's it. That's what I'm doing. And I figured it out, and I was so happy when it worked out the way it did.
Yeah, well, it looks sweet. Now, we have a new guest here, and so we always have these 2 questions that we ask new people that come on the show just to break that Star Wars ice. The first question is, who is your favorite Star Wars character?
Man, it's funny. I've never caught flack for it. Because I think most people, when they hear it, they're like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. But so growing up, it was totally different. And then when the Disney era kind of started, I was like, I'm never going to change my favorite characters. There's just no way. And then Rogue One came out, and I saw Cassian Andor, and people are sometimes surprised by that, but backstory on that, I mentioned I grew up in a small town, and if you're a dork and a nerd like I am, you just
like us.
You don't necessarily fit in unless you do other things. You know what I mean? So where I grew up, it was all like rednecks, and I love rednecks. I like to think I'm a redneck, but I know I'm not. And everybody's dads raised cattle and went horseback riding, all this stuff, and that just wasn't my thing. So I would go to school and be like, hey, I love Star Wars, and they'd be like, shut up. And I was like, wait. So me and all my friends who were nerds, we just didn't really fit in with that mold, so we fit in with each other. And then it was the line that Cassian says, where he says, hey, I've been in this fight since I was 6 years old. Basically, you don't know what I know. And then Force Awakens comes out, and Rogue One and Solo and all these other movies, and we're like, oh, I'm a Star Wars fan. I've been a Star Wars fan my whole life. I'm like, that's crap, because you made fun of me. I know you did. And so I really stuck with that. And so for me, it's like, man, Cassian kind of means something bigger than what his character really is, I guess. I don't know if that makes sense. But yeah.
Well, first of all, that was a phenomenal answer. And Cassian Andor, honestly, that's one that you rarely, honestly, if ever, hear.
Yeah.
But I respect it.
Yeah,
I respect it a lot.
I get it.
It's different.
At first I was like, what? And then
it's
all of Star Wars.
It's one of those things. I actually thought really, really long and hard about that one. I really did. And that sounds like, I mean, we're all Star Wars fans here, so we get it. But
we've all been there.
Yeah. So I was just like, okay, Luke Skywalker is always going to have this spot. For everybody, I think. And then you've got your Sith, where you get Darth Vader, Darth Maul, and then your other characters like Chewbacca and R2, and we all have our reasons for liking those characters. But if I want to latch on to one guy and be like, okay, not only am I going as Rebel Scum Texan, it's like who's going to embody that within the universe as well, and it's Cassian. I mean, it's really hard to beat that
for sure.
No, that's like I said, phenomenal answer. Now the next question, honestly, ever since we started the show, I would say this question I'm starting to not like over and over and over because it's so tough.
Yeah.
And that is, what is your favorite Star Wars movie?
Man, okay. Just like you said, it's really hard to narrow that in. And it is. So forgive me if I cheat a little bit. Growing up, my favorite one was Return of the Jedi. And I don't know, like I had the VHS, like the special edition growing up. And so like for whatever reason, I was drawn to that. I was like drawn to that cover. In fact, I can see it back behind you, Caleb, I think on the shelf. And I had those, I have those exact VHSs still. But I don't know what it was, just the cover art for me. I was like, that's the one I want to watch. And so I watched it over and over. Then when the prequels started coming out, you know, I latched on to Phantom Menace. And I still do. It holds the number 2 spot on my list.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. Phantom Menace was my favorite one for a very, very long time. But since the Disney era movies have come out, my favorite movie is Rogue One. And I do get flack for that. I don't know what it is. That movie. Okay. I'll tell you what it is. I didn't get to go to the opening night premiere of The Force Awakens. I was on a school trip in Chicago, and I deleted all social media for like 4 days. And as soon as I'm on the van home, and I bought tickets to go see it, for me and my buddy, and I went and saw TFA. So I watched it, but I didn't get to see it with like my family. I didn't get to see it with my dad. I didn't get to see it with anybody like I was really close with. So I missed that experience of being in the movie theater for a brand new Star Wars movie, and it being like this brand new thing for everybody. So for me, the first time I got to experience that was Rogue One. So my opening night experience for Rogue One, I think, helped to solidify that as my favorite one. Not to mention, you have some excellent characters. The story, in my opinion, is perfect. It's just a perfect story. You know what the point is, you know what they're trying to accomplish, and I love that. And then of course there's Darth Vader at the end. And you can't it's hard to beat the hallway scene.
No, it's definitely hard to beat that.
Although Mando season 2 may have figured it out.
That's what I was just thinking.
I'm glad the emphasis you put on Rogue One too, because in our series on top movies, I think I caught some flack for putting that in my top 5. So I'm glad someone else is with me.
So I wish that Gareth Edwards, the director, would do a Star Wars movie, but let Lawrence Kasdan write it.
Gotcha. Okay.
And I think that is the perfect marriage of Star Wars. Awesome. Yeah. You know, so that probably is a pipe dream and will never happen. But man, that would be so fantastic to me.
Yeah. Now so off of your 2 answers to that, I'm assuming you are extremely pumped for Andor then.
You know, it was funny. They announced Andor and I was like, how is this going to work? And it was before they had the name for it, before the shareholder thing. And I was like, how is that going to work? And then they started talking, okay, it's basically a prequel. And then when they released the teaser a few weeks back, whenever that was, I was thinking, okay, really show me something, basically. And when they started talking about how they showed the concept art and it's going to be kind of an espionage thing, and I was like, I can do this, because it's 100% sneaking around the Death Star the whole time. It's basically what it is. And I was like, I'm for that. Let's go. I'm good for a spy movie. Let's go for it. I mean, I love the Jason Bourne movies. I love the newer James Bond movies. So it's like, give me some of that, but throw in maybe some laser bolts and let's go for a ride. I'm for that. So I'm totally excited about Andor. It's gonna be great.
Yeah.
Not to mention K2SO's coming back too. So
yes,
fantastic.
Man, that's what I'm most excited about.
And I would love to see like run-ins with the ISB, so where it's like a intelligence agency.
Yeah, maybe some Inquisitor action.
Yeah, just a touch of that.
Just a little bit. Like I don't need a lightsaber, but I need at least maybe one. You know, like it'd be great.
Or at least the presence.
Yes.
And it would be cool to see that that's where K2SO comes from.
Absolutely.
Somehow taken from the Imperial, I don't know, from an Imperial base, from the Death Star itself.
I never considered that we would get his origin story. That never even crossed my mind. That's great. I love that.
Yeah, that would be great. That would be great.
Come in there.
Come in there.
That's
all right.
nice.
Now, listen. So we wanted to do this to, first of all, to shed light on all of the great giveaway entries that we got. So what we're going to do tonight is we're going to have just a fun Star Wars, honestly, discussion where all of us, even Rebel Scum, are going to bounce off of these memories that everyone has that submitted in this entry. But obviously we want to give Rebel Scum Texan the floor first. So part of our giveaway was to share your favorite Star Wars memory. And Rebel Scum Texan, his favorite Star Wars memory, it was seeing The Phantom Menace on opening night in 1999 with his dad. I'll never forget how excited I was and how in love with Star Wars it made me. So I want you to just elaborate on that. And I know you've touched on getting that theater experience, which I'm a big proponent. Like, I enjoy that so much. I mean, I think all of us went together to see all these new films together.
Yeah.
It's just hard to beat. So just elaborate on that experience in 1999.
Well, yeah, I definitely am all for the theater experience. In fact, I worked for a movie theater for about 3 years in high school and college. And so I understand like this, there's something about going to the movies. But going back to 99, my dad is actually a pastor. And back at that point in time, he was a youth pastor. And he had a huge youth group. And he attracted all kinds of different people. So I don't know if he bought it or a bunch of people went together, but they all bought tickets. And he bought me one, and he was like, "Hey, we're all going this night. Let's all go see it." And me being, I guess I was 4. Is that what I said in the tweet? 4? Because I know I did the math when I did the entry. Yep. Okay.
Yep.
I was in kindergarten, and my dad's like, "Hey, I'm going to take you with all the big kids. Let's go watch the movie." And so I was like, "Yeah." And and of course, I just really gotten to know what Star Wars was. So like, I was the perfect age, like kind of like y'all. We were probably all about the perfect age, like. Oh, right. This is the time to really introduce something like this to a kid. So, going to the theater, I don't really remember anything except I do remember Darth Maul taking the hood off. I do remember watching that. And then I remember the fight scene. And then I remember the droid control ship being blown up by Anakin. I definitely remember the pod race because I'm sure my ears were just on fire because I mean, I don't know if y'all ever thought about it, but there's no music hardly in that pod race sequence. It's just sound. It's just sound effects. And so like the whole time you're in there, it's just engine. It's like a little bit of like, yes, and then on top of that, it's Star Wars. So it's like even better. So, and I remember I don't think we sat like front row, but we sat, I feel like really close to the front. And being 4 years old, you're like, I can jump down all these stairs and be fine. And I just got done watching Darth Maul and Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon fight. So 4-year-old me in the stadium seating, I'm like, I'm going to jump down these stairs. And I didn't get hurt, which that would make the story better, I feel like. But, I was like, I can do all the things those Jedi just, I can do that. There's no, you're not stopping me. You're not telling me I can do that. That little kid, energy, you're just like, this is my mindset and you're not stopping me. So I had that for like the last 20 years. And that's never left. I'm still that little kid in the movie theater, I think, a lot of the times. I think we all are, really.
Yeah.
No
doubt.
So 99, May 99 is always going to have that place for me. And I just, it's just one of those things like when I see the fanfare and I see the logo pop up, it's it might sound cliche and maybe a little cheesy, but I still get a little choked up because I remember how I felt at 4 years old. It's like, that's something that I don't think anybody's ever going to take away.
Right.
And it's always going to be there. So it's like, it's a perfect feeling, I guess.
Yeah. No, that makes me think of The Force Awakens. Me and Jacob went together like really late and I had already seen it.
Mm-hmm.
I went with an earlier screening, just me and my wife. But then me and the friends went at like midnight. And so the fanfare hits and I just hear Jacob go, and I'm just like, awesome. Yes, like that's what, awesome. That's what this is all about right there. So that's an incredible memory.
I remember that. That was so much fun.
Yeah.
It made me tear up, honestly,
Yeah.
when I saw those yellow words,
Oh, yeah.
Star Wars.
There's something about that crawl, man, that just every time.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
how about
Every time.
You know, I guess I don't know if you feel the same way, Caleb, but I feel a lot of those same sentiments for when we went and saw Revenge of the Sith in theaters.
Yeah.
That's really the first time that I can remember seeing Star Wars in theaters when it got released.
Mhm.
So, you know, that's another one of those top Star Wars movies for me.
Oh, yeah.
A lot because of that.
Right.
Not even mentioning the story, you know.
100%. No doubt.
And that's my favorite movie is Revenge of the Sith. And I remember seeing it in the theaters as well. And I think I say that. I remember going to the theaters to watch it. But the only thing I can remember in the theaters is like, so at the very, very end when he raises up and he's in Darth Vader suit.
Yeah.
And like, because everything kind of tones out. And then you hear it like click on and power up.
I still have my ticket
chills
stub to that
every
movie.
single time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I still have my episode 3 ticket stub.
That's
Is it? Did you somehow keep it well preserved?
Yeah, I had I don't know where I got this. I have this little bitty photo album, and I had like school IDs and just random pictures of family like stuck in there.
Yeah.
And I never really touched it. I didn't really do much with it. I had it framed for a long time, and I don't know why I took it off. I think it's because my family moved, but I still have that. And it says, I know it came out May 19th, 2005, but the ticket actually says May 18th, 2005.
Yeah.
And it just says Star Wars Rev. And so I still have the ticket, and I remember that. I remember that experience very well, very well.
Yeah. Well,
that's awesome.
It does seem like, as far as like favorite movies go, it does seem like the theater experience helps your decision a little bit. Always.
Yeah. Like I love Force Awakens, and I saw it in theaters, but I didn't see it opening night. You know,
right.
I saw episode 1, 2,
right.
3, opening night. You know, it's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah. And now going back to kind of like what you said about Rogue One being your theater experience, I don't think I would disagree whatsoever that Rogue One is probably a better film than The Force Awakens. But because The Force Awakens was my like welcome back to Star Wars moment, I'll always have it ranked above Rogue One. So it kind of goes back to that moment, that feeling.
Yeah.
So let's keep going down this list. Let's just keep having some fun. Let's read all these Star Wars comments from all of our Star Wars peeps on Twitter. Next on the list, we got Princess Tiana, who said, my favorite Star Wars memory is meeting Baby Yoda for the first time in season 1. I mean, obviously we're Mando Talks. So we had to talk about The Mandalorian. I would say, honestly, that is probably a top moment for a lot of new fans now.
Oh, yeah.
And we've talked about it on the show a lot. It's brought on so many new fans, in my opinion. And I mean, I can just speak for experience for my wife. I mean, she liked Star Wars. Like it was there, like, oh, my husband loves it, so I got to support it kind of thing.
That's how my wife is.
Yeah. But then when Baby Yoda popped up, it seemed like, oh, I'm invested now.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing for my wife. She's never watched a Star Wars movie ever. And then, you know, Keller was like, hey, I want to do this podcast. We're going to start watching The Mandalorian. And I was like, yeah, I'll watch it with you. And then we started doing the podcast and I was like, yeah, this is cool. And then, so my wife was like, well, if we're going to do this every day or every week, I need to know what we're doing. And so we went through and watched every movie in, I guess, chronological order, not the time they come out, but like how they happened kind of order. And it was a lot of fun just going back and rewatching because, you know, some of them I haven't seen in, you know, a long time. Yeah. And it was fun going back and watching them all. It was cool.
No doubt. No doubt.
I know we've talked about what the Baby Yoda's reveal has done for new fans, but I think it's important too with old fans that were getting fed up with the sequels and where they were going. I think The Mandalorian and introducing those little key elements like Baby Yoda and then following this creed and culture of the Mandalorians, I think it did a lot for old fans too.
Yeah, I got an uncle who he's what you would call a casual fan. You know, he knows about the movies, but he's not like us where it's like, let's go do a podcast, you know? So he was just like, oh, that's like, this is back before it even came out. There's no content. It's just, hey, this is happening. And then you hear he starts like, "Hey, Deej." My name's DJ. He calls me Deej. He's like, "Hey, Deej, what's that Boba Fett show?" I was like, well, Frank, it's not a Boba Fett show, but like I know what you're saying. And he's like, "What's it about?" And I was like, "I have no idea." And he's like, "All right, well, I'm gonna watch it." I was like, "All right, cool." And so my cousin, he's a big Disney. He loves Disney, and so like he's like, "I'm gonna watch Star Wars because it's Disney." I'm like, "That's fine. At least you're watching. You know, let's get you indoctrinated." So he actually spends at least once a week with his dad watching those episodes as they would come out. And so Frank is full on invested, and he's what you would say a fan, you know, from way back when. And so he's all in. So I totally agree with that. That, you know, it's kind of one of those, you know, like you said, you know, it's kind of rescued it a little bit.
Yeah.
And BA, do you feel like that it's helped your attitude when it comes to Star Wars? Because I know you were down in the dumps after the Last Jedi. So.
No,
I'm with you.
Definitely. It just reinvigorated that love and that intrigue, because the sequels kind of got, Force Awakens was great, and I felt like they did a good job of sort of, you know, explaining the past of Star Wars, and then they opened the door to this new, you know, nobody knew what was going to happen after the Force Awakens, but then I felt like they just took some wrong turns and they weren't as ambitious as I thought they should be. But I think The Mandalorian has taken that and is in being super ambitious. And even with what's coming later this year and in the years to come, from what they've revealed, I think is still following suit with being super ambitious. So.
For sure.
No doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt. All right. Next one. @Dyad in the Force. First of all, that's an incredible username right there.
I can't believe he got that, or they got that username.
I know. Favorite memory, feeling the excitement and pure bliss of seeing a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away on the big screen on December 15th, 2015. Force
Awakens.
Know. Yeah, right. Wouldn't know. That goes, I think we've touched on that though. I mean, the theater experience is one of those things you just can't beat.
But a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, it's so much better than Once Upon a Time.
Yes.
I don't even, what else can you say? It's the best introduction.
Well, to kind of spin off real quick, and everybody that's watching knows I like to go on my rants, but
this is true.
To take a turn,
this is the way.
Talking about the movie experience and how much fun it is going to the movie with all your bros and watching Star Wars movies. Are we as a community turning away from that? And is Disney steering us away from the movie experience?
I certainly hope not. You know, I'm a theater guy. You know, I can't tell you how many times I've eaten popcorn for breakfast when I worked there. You know, I mean, I wish I was joking. I'm not. You know, I've eaten popcorn for breakfast so much, and it's probably attributed to what I've got sitting below the screen tonight. But, you know, I hope not. You know, HBO Max seems to kind of be going that way right now. You know, they're doing it in theaters and on the small screen. And it's like, okay, you're trying to do a little bit of both, and I get what you're doing. And on one side of it, then the other side of it's like, okay, you're trying to get people back in the theaters because there is no Hollywood really without the theaters. I still stand by that. I know streaming's important. Netflix has proved that. Disney Plus has proved that.
Right.
I mean, we didn't
and
have
especially for Star Wars.
Yeah. I mean, with The Mandalorian, you know, and I kind of hope it's one of those things where it kind of culminates into a movie that's like, okay, we've got Mando seasons 1, 2, 3, 4, who knows? And it's like, okay, this is the last thing. Let's put it in a movie, you know, and it's not coming to stream. I would love to see that. And this is a really bad example, so please forgive me. But Disney Channel did that with High School Musical 1 and 2. High School Musical 1 and 2 were only on Disney Channel. Then High School Musical 3 was in the theaters. And I thought, that's stupid. Just keep it on TV at the time. But what it did was it put people in the seats and it put people in the theaters. And again, terrible parallel. But if it works for Star Wars, let's freaking do it. You know, it'll be so much better, I think, if that's what it takes.
Yeah, I definitely don't want that theater experience to go away. I mean, they got that group watch thing that Netflix once had on Disney Plus now. I mean, where you can watch it together, but I mean, that's not nowhere near the same.
It's not the same as like I'm sure y'all have seen this, the Marvel theater reaction when Cap got the hammer. Have y'all heard that, right? Seen that?
Yes.
When you watch that, you're like, that's what going to the movies is like.
Yes.
You don't get that sitting on your couch at home. Even though you are at home, you didn't have to go to the theater and pay $25-$30 for a drink and popcorn.
True.
But you still get to be around other folks. I mean, it's hard to beat that. And that goes same for Star Wars. It's hard to beat the theater experience.
It's the experience.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's the experience. And personally, I hope that's not going away. Hopefully we'll see some changes this coming year with the theaters, opening back up and inviting everybody in to be the Star Wars family that we are.
Yeah.
And so that's the end of my rant. I just wanted to know your thoughts.
It's a good rant. It's a good rant.
Yeah.
That was an interesting conversation. I mean, we could make a whole podcast.
We could. We really could.
All right.
Is Disney doing the right thing?
Just let me know. I'll come back.
Hey.
We will hold you to
Fair
that.
enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
All right. Next up, at FunCooker123, watching episode with my family when I was a kid. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Every kid. Yeah.
Can I say something to that, if that's okay?
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
Like I mentioned, I moved from a small town to a bigger town when I was like a sophomore in high school. And that was in the latter seasons of Clone Wars before the Disney acquisition. And the constant for me after moving was sitting down once a week with my family and watching Clone Wars. Because when your world gets turned upside down and you're like, okay, I was here. Now I'm in a totally different place, where it was 30 minutes to get to a specific restaurant or a movie theater. Now it's 5 minutes. It's a huge change of pace and everything. So the constant for me, and being a high school kid, and I know it's a cartoon, but like it's Star Wars. And that was a huge constant for me. So sitting down and watching something with your family, I mean, that's a cool thing. I mean, it doesn't matter what it is, it's a cool thing. And I appreciate that they said that.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a guy or a girl. My bad.
No,
that's a main drive for this podcast is just getting the guys back together and being able to talk Star Wars every Friday is a big drive. And plus we get to talk Star Wars. So, but just getting everybody together is part of the experience. And I think it's one of the main parts,
Sure.
that we enjoy so much.
Yeah, I agree.
So it keeps me coming back here every Friday.
All right. Next up, at Sam_Carey. My favorite Star Wars memory is going to Star Wars Celebration 2017 and getting a picture with Mark Hamill.
What?
Okay. I can speak for all of us here at Mando Talk. We have never been to Celebration or any panel like that. Rebel Scum Texan, what about you?
No, I have plans currently to attend Celebration in 2022 with my buddy Larry and my friend Chris, and hopefully we can get out there. I will say, though, the closest I've ever gotten to that was back in 2009. There was this thing called Star Wars in Concert. Are y'all aware?
Okay.
Y'all know anything about that?
I've heard about it.
So basically what it was an orchestra that traveled the UK and then also the US. And I lived about 2 hours north of Houston, Texas. And my dad found out about it somehow. I don't remember how he found out about it, but he said, "Hey, there's this thing called Star Wars in Concert. It's in Houston on this day. Let's go." And I was like, "You ain't got to tell me twice." I was like, "Let's go." So we drove down to Houston, and me, my dad, and my I have two younger brothers. My older younger brother, he was young, but like we went, and so there was a full orchestra doing Star Wars music from the 6 films that we had at the time, and inside the Toyota Center there in Houston, they had like this walkthrough museum with like the episode 3 Vader costume was there. The episode 3 C-3PO costume was there. And some other props, some Ewok costumes were there, which I thought that's random, but like I'm for it. And the coolest thing about it though, or two coolest things, is they had the original sheet music to 1977's soundtrack with John Williams handwriting on it.
Oh, wow.
That makes me giddy thinking about it. But the best part of all of that was that Anthony Daniels hosted it.
Oh my
Dude.
gosh!
So I can say I've been in the same room as Anthony Daniels, and
Wow.
I mean I'm sure other people can, but like that's
You
C3.
can too.
It's C3PO. Like
Yeah.
I don't, and that's one of those things. Like you want to know about something about C3PO. I know something about C3PO. Yeah, just something small. And he did an impersonation on stage. He did the I can't remember the 6 million forms of communication line. And I was just like,
Oh, wow.
this is great. I'm so excited. It makes me excited thinking about it. And this was years ago, but yeah.
That's really cool.
That's awesome.
I know I've always wanted to go to Celebration. It's just never quite lined up. But hopefully one day it will.
Yeah.
For sure.
Maybe one day we'll all get to go and we can hang out there. It'd be great.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Sure.
That'd be awesome. Okay, next up, Pink_Han K. My son says seeing Darth Vader in Disneyland and going on the Star Wars ride. Again, another experience I can't relate to, never been, but absolutely, I love that. And she's specifically talking about her son there. So it goes back to that family connection, which it seems like we have revealed in this podcast tonight is what Star Wars is all about.
Absolutely.
That's all it's about.
Yeah.
All right. Next up on the list, at Lonely Adam 2, meeting Boba Fett and Darth Vader at a library. I'm kind of interested to know more about that situation.
Yeah. Are they checking out books? Or just you got to learn about the dark side? I don't know.
That would be really good.
Where to get the
cool.
best rifle for bounty hunting, probably.
There you go. There you go. All right. Next up, at Vader Thinks. That's another really solid username. My favorite Star Wars memory is going to a convention with my dad when I was about 9. It literally felt like a dream come true, being surrounded by my favorite characters and props. And there's also an image there showing it. Love that. Absolutely love that.
That's the image with the kid and the Django, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's wild too. And Rebel Scum mentioned it earlier. After watching that movie, Phantom Menace, he was jumping over stuff. Imagine being there at one of those celebrations as a kid. You're actually in that world. That's got to be special.
Yeah. No, that would be really special. Okay. This was, I believe, I'm thinking back to October. I believe this was the very first entry. For some reason, I don't think this thread is in complete order, but it's from at UT Law 97. And I was really impressed with this. It says, when I saw the first Star Wars when it came out as a kid. I mean, that's an experience that none of us will ever be able to relate to. But man, it's incredible.
Yeah, I like to talk to my dad occasionally. Here's my buddy Larry, by the way.
What's up, Larry?
What's up, Larry?
And I don't know if I've said this for the sake of the show itself, but I'm actually at my buddy Larry's house because he has the best podcast set up in my area. But one of my screens just went down.
Hey.
Oh, we can still see you though.
Yeah, that's all
good. I can still hear y'all, so I figured we were doing okay. But
we can
I asked Larry to please come in, and he's here in all of his Larryness. So, yeah. Anyway, I think we should be good in just a second.
Well, it's good to have you on the show, Larry.
Yes,
Larry. They said it's good for you to be here, or they're glad for you to be here.
If you had a headset, we'd ask you 2 questions.
He said he is glad to be here too. And if he had a second headset, let's go ahead and let Larry be on the show. I want to throw this out there though. When I told Larry a while back that my favorite character is Cassian Andor, he was like, "Oh, okay, cool. You don't hear that a lot." And then like one day he texts me out of nowhere and is like, "Hey, can I come by your place real quick?" And I was like, "Yeah, what's up?" He goes, "Don't worry about it. I'll be there in a minute." And he comes over and he had bought me a Cassian Andor Disney Elite figure.
Oh, wow.
It was just, and it's sitting on my TV stand at home. So Larry's like, he's my other Star Wars buddy.
Sounds like Larry is an incredible friend, honestly.
He actually is one of the best friends I have.
Okay.
He's
Fair
up there. Yeah. I mean, he hadn't like bought me lunch or anything, but you know, he is letting me use his podcast stuff. So there's that.
Yeah. But yeah, for real, back in 77, watching the original Star Wars.
Oh, I couldn't imagine.
It's just, again, something that can't be beat, I'd imagine. And I know my parents were around for it, but they've never really cared about Star Wars as much as we care about Star Wars. I know my mom's kind of shared with me her first experience with it. Rebel Scum Texan, does your dad have an interesting kind of first Star Wars moment?
You know, it's he definitely went and saw it in theaters. The one really cool thing about that, though, my grandfather, his dad, for pretty much his whole life, was a painter and a handyman, and he would paint these incredible looking murals on people's walls and stuff. So he had, I don't know if he got it from like a newspaper clipping or what, but he hand painted Luke, Han, and Leia onto my dad and his brother's bedroom wall when they were kids. And I do have a picture of that somewhere. I might have to tweet that out and just be like, hey, this is that. But that's kind of an experience I know my dad has. He got to wake up every morning for several years and look at the wall, and there's, some of his heroes. It's just kind of one of those neat things, I guess, that he can kind of brag about.
Right. Absolutely.
That's awesome. I would love to see that because I kind of do a little art of my own every now and then.
He definitely does art of his own.
I'll make sure to get that out there so at least y'all can look at it.
Yeah, for sure. That'd be cool to see. All right, next up, at Fitness Gamer VR, mastering the art of starfighter combat and feeling the rush of first-person multiplayer space dogfights in Star Wars Squadrons. I finally got to play it.
Good.
My relatives got it for me for Christmas. I haven't gotten to play a ton, but the amount that I have played it, absolute fun. So fun.
I've played it a little bit, but I mostly crash.
Yes. It's a tough game.
Yeah, it's not. It's not meant for simple-minded folk like me.
No. And I've said before on the show, on our YouTube channel, I'm not a gamer, but anytime that it's Star Wars, anytime that's labeled on there, I'm intrigued and I'm going to play it.
Oh, absolutely.
Because
it's
it's
the only
just
thing I game.
It's one of those opportunities to just see Star Wars in a new way. So as geeks and Star Wars fans, why would we not, hit that up?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Especially, with Battlefront and Squadrons, they have a story. And it's canon, and if you're going to keep up with what's coming out, it's good to know what's going on, I guess. At least in my opinion. Others may differ.
BA here is a huge Jedi Fallen Order advocate. I still haven't finished that game.
Keller's gotten halfway through it, hasn't finished it, and the ending is arguably the best part of it.
I played that on the easiest possible level,
story mode,
solely for the story, and
same.
And at first I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing because the puzzles I'm not a puzzle guy, but after a while I was just like, I'm just going to knock this thing out, and I finished it in like a weekend.
Yeah.
And I had nothing going on, or maybe I did. I don't remember. It's all a blur. But knocked it out. So I'm with you. Like Fallen Order was one of those things. Like it's kind of like Mando. It was like we needed this, and then when we got it, it's like, oh, this is fantastic. I'm so glad we got this.
Yeah, it helps to broaden that world because we just think of the Skywalker saga when in fact all this other stuff's happening. So I thought that was very cool with playing the game.
I got to watch Caleb playing it, and when you were in the Jedi Temple, I thought that was so cool.
It is really cool. Visually, it's probably one of the best put together Star Wars video games out there.
Yeah.
And I don't know, but it might be the only Star Wars video game with its own legitimate soundtrack. Because you can look it up on Spotify and listen to the soundtrack.
Right. And I'm just trying to think if there is another one.
Because I don't think there are any for the newer Battlefront games. I don't think there were for the older ones before because those were just pieces of the movie soundtrack. So, yeah, I don't know of any others, but there could be. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Next up, let's keep moving down this list. We got at a Loopy 15, seeing The Force Awakens with my little brother and then getting to watch The Mandalorian with him. Again, all about family.
Priceless.
I think that one's very relatable for me and Jacob, though, because, just that brother experience of getting to do that over and over, definitely relate to with that.
For sure.
All right. At Buster James 1, seeing my grandson so excited was a good memory. Then there's a picture of his two grandsons with some stormtroopers, 2 stormtroopers and a scout trooper. I love that photo.
Stuff.
I love that photo. All right. Next up, at M. in Denisi, watching Star Wars with my son. I didn't realize how much family related memories there were until I started actually reading these out loud.
I noticed that today as I was going back through that thread. It was surprising, to say the least, that there were that many. Yeah.
Next up, at Peter_Denisi. I guess they're relatives. Since the holidays are coming up, I'd say listening to the holiday album. Now, personally, this is news to me. There's a Star Wars holiday album.
I have no idea what that is. I wish I did. I feel like I need to know what Jingle Bell sounds like played by the Cantina Band. I mean, I just don't think I can. I don't think I can say I've lived until I've heard that.
Yeah. Now, I wonder if, well, no, the Lego Holiday Special wasn't out whenever this tweet was sent. But does the Lego Holiday Special have a album? I'm curious.
Not to my knowledge.
I don't think so either. What you think of Lego Star Wars Holiday Special?
You know, it was definitely obviously meant for children,
right?
But I'm a millennial and I grew up with Legos, and I used to build my own spaceships, and I used to fly my own Lego spaceships around. Can y'all still see me?
Yes.
All right, cool.
We got you.
But anyway,
I had the fastest Lego spaceships, though. Just saying, they were the fastest.
Of course they were. Everybody's own spaceships were the fastest ones. You know. Yeah. No, I enjoyed the Lego special. You know, by the way, my buddy Larry fixed my problem, so thank you, Larry, very much.
Thanks, Larry.
Boy, Larry.
But yeah, I thought it was fun. You know, I've heard some people talk about, you know, Rey's voice and Finn's voices obviously not being John Boyega and Daisy Ridley. Mm-hmm. And all the stuff that John has said about his experience making Star Wars is kind of like, that sucks, but like, I appreciate you, you know, like I want you to know I appreciate you at least. And
right.
So all that aside, I thought it was fun. It was clearly just meant for fun, which is fantastic.
Yes.
You know, I had zero issues with it, except that, you know, I really wish that in the sequels we had gotten Jedi Finn. That's what I really like. It's kind of one of those things, like, I'm so glad they teased it, but at the same time, it's like, you should have just done it in the first place, you goobers, and called it a day, but it's all good.
Yes.
You know, I mean, we're here where we are, and I'm not going to complain about it anymore.
Yeah. At BA.
I mean, look how awesome that visual is above Keller's shoulder. Like, it's right there. How cool would it be?
Exactly. I mean, and I don't know if y'all have seen this, but I saw this interview with John Boyega where he ran into Samuel Jackson somewhere. I don't know where. And all you hear is Sam Jackson like, "Hey, you're my son," and just yelled it at John Boyega. And he's like, "You're a Jedi. I'm a Jedi. You're my kid." You know, I was like, take ownership, please. A Mace Windu, like, father-son thing. Come on.
Yeah.
You know, it just, maybe that's just my own headcanon, but, you know, I still think it's fantastic.
Yeah, no.
You know, and that kind of goes in line, though, because, you know, they were, I guess, taking children as stormtroopers, so it could work out. Like,
you know, I don't know if Sam Jackson, I mean, I shouldn't say Sam Jackson. I don't know if Mace Windu would have fathered Finn, but I could see Mace Windu surviving the fall from the Senate building, escaping to maybe his own home planet, and there, you know, maybe starts to train some folks, and then the First Order, maybe he died. I don't know. I can see a story, you know?
Yes.
And I think it'd be a fantastic story. Will it happen? I don't know. Let's hit up Pablo and see what happens. But, you know, I don't know. Maybe one day.
Now, it does seem, though, and it might have just been fan speculation, seems like The Mandalorian would be a nice spot for them to, if they ever wanted to explore that they could, at least.
Mace Windu return?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I remember going into episode 3, and I was like 10 years old, and my dad has remained very close friends with a couple of people he went to college with, and it just so happened we were all in town at the same time, so we all went and saw episode 3 together. So we're in a Taco Bell drive-thru, and they're asking me, 10-year-old me, "Hey, what do you think is going to happen in this movie?" And I was like, well, I think it'd be really cool if, you know, Boba Fett gets some revenge, and that's how Mace Windu gets it. And I still think there's no way I'm the only fan that thinks that. And I would just love to see something like that happen, especially with Tamara Morrison coming back to play. And let's put Tamara Morrison without a helmet on up against, you know, Sam Jackson's Mace Windu, and let's see what happens. You know,
that'd be really cool.
Even if he is alive at this time, which I don't know how old that puts him, but, you know, Sam Jackson's like 70 something, so it might not work, but like, I'd still be for it. I think it'd be awesome.
Absolutely. I do think we're going to at least get Mace Windu back somehow, because there's just so much love for the character. So they'll execute it some way, but we'll just have to wait and see. Okay, next up, at Toe can. Oh, okay. I think this is a play on Star Wars, but I'm not sure if I'm going to read this right. Tokeni Boy 24. I was for some reason reading that as Obi-Wan Kenobi.
I read it as Tokenobi.
Okay, that's probably better.
Yeah,
that's probably better. Okay, he says watching Star Wars films with family and friends for movie night. So again, family. That's what Star Wars is all about.
Absolutely.
That's what Mando Talk is.
Absolutely. Yes. All right, next up, at Dark Saber Light. Watching and loving A New Hope in high school after previously deriding Star Wars for being too geeky. Here I am a decade later and wearing that geek badge with pride.
Yes. That is so awesome.
Welcome.
Now,
Welcome to the club.
That does make me think of an interesting question, because it did seem like the nerd culture was not cool growing up. But in my own opinion, now it seems like it's cool to be a nerd.
I like to think of it as nerds ruling the world now.
Yes.
Like, was it Bowling for Soup, the band? They have that song that it talks about high school, how it never ends. And it actually says that Bill Gates is the captain of the chess team. But like Bill Gates, he like runs the world when it comes to technology and innovation. And there's others who do the same thing he does. But like you look at him and you think, okay, he's a massive dork. And there's no way he's not. And then you look at everybody else. It just makes sense that, yeah, you're right. It's cool to be a nerd is basically what I'm trying to say.
It's cool to be a nerd. All right. Next up, M. Denisi. I think we got the whole family list with this entry. Watching Star Wars with my brother on VHS. And boy, did me and Jacob wear those special edition VHSs out. Can 100% relate to that. All right. And then here's the last one from at Tony Beal. My fave memory is going to see The Force Awakens with my niece and nephew on opening day, passing on what you learned. That's incredible.
Absolutely.
We got so many family things.
Just about every one of them.
Just about. But it's super, I don't know, positive to just come back to this thread. So, for example, if you're like down and negative about the Star Wars fan base, I think this thread, I need to forever come back and look at that if ever I feel that way, because that will get you uplifted real quick.
I agree.
Real quick. Okay. We appreciate every single person that entered into that giveaway. And I know it's been a while, but regardless, it's always great just to connect with Star Wars fans in a positive way. And first of all, I'm super glad that we're getting to do that with Rebel Scum Texan tonight, but we're not done. Because obviously, based on your response to that giveaway, you love the prequels, and everyone here in our studio grew up with the prequels. So we love the prequels. So we can't just leave this thing and end this thing without talking about the prequels.
Let's get it. I mean,
and we talked about Mando Talk sat here and said that Revenge of the Sith is the #1 Star Wars movie. Now, me personally, I'm not to that extent. I'm always Empire Strikes Back is king. But
yeah, I come back around to that a lot. My dad grew up with the original trilogy, took me to see the prequels, took my brothers to see the sequels, and he's seen them all, knows them all, and he will always come back to, you cannot beat Empire. But let's just remove Empire for the evening. And
okay, fair enough.
I mean,
fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. It's like Empire, and for a lot of people, it's right after that, it's Revenge of the Sith. I totally get that.
Yeah. Now, what I wanted to do was, first of all, in our notes here, I've got, we're just going to have fun talking about it, but let's just go ahead and look at some of these possible talking points. And the first question that I have for all of us here to kind of consider as we're reflecting on the prequels is, what was our view on the prequels initially? So obviously we were all pretty young when all of these 3 films came out. So I know me, as I saw those 3, I had no negative thoughts about any of those movies. And in fact, it takes me back to my earliest days as a Star Wars fan. My very first action figure was a Jar Jar Binks action figure. And that was the greatest thing in the world. And then when I turn 12, 13, and I get on social medias and I see people hate Jar Jar Binks, I'm like, wow, what's going on here?
What's the point on here?
Yeah, absolutely. So
hey, grab it.
Oh yeah, I do.
Do you have it?
Right,
It's
it's
not
the
boxed
bottom.
up anymore.
I don't care. I want to see it.
But
That's fair.
it's
Dude.
one of those.
I
it's
never
one of
had
those
that
where
one.
It's got like this chip, you know, the thing that Qui-Gon talks to.
Bro, I still have one.
We
It's in
gotta-
a box at my parents' house, but I still have those chips.
We got to see if they still work then.
I
is
think
so
all it
cool.
takes is a few double A's and hopefully they just fire up. But yeah,
That's
I
awesome.
never had that Jar Jar Binks and I wanted that one so bad as a kid.
Yeah, I would love to hear that thing go again. So I might have to just like ship that to you and then you record it and then ship it back.
That's fine. I would do that.
So I just wanted to hear everyone here's thoughts on going back to your youth. Let's think about try to put ourselves back in that 4 or 5 year old, 6-year-old body. And what did we think of the prequels as they came out before all the negativity that you realized was out there?
Okay, so mine will be quick. I know I say that. Mine will be quick though. For me, like my first, I think, ever Star Wars movie I can ever remember watching is The Phantom Menace, and I didn't know, like, okay, you hear episode 1, The Phantom Menace, but like I remember watching the prequels and thinking, okay, this is what Star Wars is, because I don't think before I watched the prequels, I'd never watched, you know, the original trilogy. And so I was thinking, you know, okay, this is my first impressions of Star Wars was the prequels. And so that kind of imprinted on me, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I am, you know, a prequels guy and like
Prequelist.
prequelist,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. But yeah, I guess they kind of imprinted on me as my, you know, my thing.
Absolutely. Jacob, let's hear your thoughts.
Oh man. Well, you know what you said earlier, like really when you were a kid and you first saw those movies and we had just seen them, we didn't have any negative thoughts. And I was just thinking of that before you said that. And it's only around teen years that we started thinking, hey, this might be kind of awkward. So yeah, when I was a kid, you know, I love the prequels, and it was just awesome to see further expansion and, you know, roots of the story and the worlds that we saw in the original three, in the original trilogy, and just see, you know, how everything got to the way it is in the originals. And you get to see the Jedi in their full power. You get to see Darth Maul. You get to see, you know, the Clone Wars that were mentioned in A New Hope. And yeah, I loved the prequels when I was a kid, and they were very inspiring. They definitely set off mine and Caleb's imagination, I know, because we would beat each other up with those plastic lightsabers.
Yes.
That are in studio.
That are in studio, that are all to shreds, basically.
Fair enough.
All right, BA, what were your kind of, if you can think back to when you first saw those prequels, what did you think initially?
So it's been a few years, obviously.
Yes.
But I think I'd saw the original trilogy just in passing, and then that was before really my fandom started. And my fandom started, I think, when Darth Maul clicked out the backside of that lightsaber. That's where I can track it back to, because just seeing that and being like, oh my goodness, they're only using half of it. They're not even using half of it this whole time. And then that music starts, and that's still a song that every time I hear it, makes you want to just run through a wall when you hear music like that. And I think just the soundtrack from those prequels just set them over the top for me. Once you boil it down to just story and characters, I think it comes down to music that really sets it apart.
100%. All right, Rebel Scum Texan, what are your takes?
So, you know, we like y'all, when you're a kid, you're like, it's Star Wars. You know, like that was me. It's like, this is brand new. It's Star Wars. I'm all for it. I don't really think it was until I was like in high school where I learned you can hate something, but also love it. And I thought that still makes my brain hurt. But, you know, and I say that because I remember when like news was coming out about The Force Awakens, and we're like, all right, this is Daisy Ridley. Who the heck's Daisy Ridley? And this is Adam Driver. Who the heck's Adam Driver? You know, it's like everybody was asking those questions. And I remember hearing somebody have reported or asked J.J. Abrams, you know, hey, is Jar Jar Binks going to be in this movie? And then JJ's like, oh yeah, I jokingly thought about putting his skeleton in the Jakku desert. And I was like,
I remember that. Yeah.
And I was like, but that's not, like, deep down I was like, that's messed up. But like outward I was like, yeah, that's funny. So like for me as a kid, initially it was all about, yes, like this is Star Wars and I don't care. You know, like I had the Jar Jar Binks t-shirts. You know, I had the Duel of the Fates backpack, and I thought I had the best backpack in kindergarten. No one else had my backpack. I had another backpack with Anakin's face on it from Phantom Menace. You know, and then when you get to Attack of the Clones and you see the Geonosis fight, and it's like 400 Jedi versus 5,000, and then the clones show up, and you're like, oh, Yoda, there's Yoda, and you can't. For me, it just didn't slow down. And then when you get to Revenge of the Sith, you have the open. I mean, come on.
Oh yeah.
You know, those drums of war, and then you know, it's that. Excuse my terrible sound effects, but you guys know what I'm saying. You know, I mean, for me, the prequels have always been incredible, and that's how it'll always be for me, because it was what I saw as a kid, and I still see that as an adult.
Yeah,
100%. I feel the same way.
We need to hang out.
We need to do this more often. The prequels, I just lost my train of thought, but no, you're good. I would say the first negative thing though that came to my mind as I was kind of growing up and kind of understanding Star Wars more and film more and just kind of what to expect. I think back, the first negative thought that I ever had while watching the prequels was in Attack of the Clones. I remember specifically because my brother-in-law tells me all the time that I used to think Hayden Christensen's acting performance in Attack of the Clones definitely was lacking. I remember that being the first negative thought that I ever had. But I just actually rewatched Attack of the Clones 2 or 3 nights ago, and I love that movie. And I would say it's probably my least favorite Star Wars film. And when I say least favorite, I still love the thing. So thinking through as I was growing up, as you know, social media became a thing and I started seeing more people's thoughts on the prequels, you know, they kind of opened my eyes to like all those negative thoughts and seeing where people were coming from.
Yeah, me too.
And Attack of the Clones seems like the movie that's probably gotten the most hate, but it does seem like the prequels now are trending up. Like as each year goes by, it seems like more and more we're hearing positive thoughts about the prequels. And I think it's because people like us are starting to come of age and we have a voice and a platform to share those thoughts. It's great to see that.
It's like, and I agree with you. I can't remember which celebration it was, but it was one of the more recent ones. Ahmed Best came back, played Jar Jar, and he does this interview with, I think, the Star Wars show. And he's talking to the host, and he says something about how George had told him, don't worry about the hate you're getting now. These kids are going to grow up and love you. And he's surrounded by those kids who grew up and loved him while he's on stage at Celebration. It's like really cool to see how something came full circle for him. And I think for like what you said, Caleb, I mean, it's me too. You said exactly what I was thinking. And seeing Ahmed's story come full circle just makes the most sense too.
Yeah. Now, other thoughts that I have too about the prequels, and I think we've touched on it, the show before. I think that what also helped the prequels become more positive throughout the fan base was the Disney acquisition. Because I think a lot of times too, Star Wars fans didn't like the prequels because they were like, oh, that's it. We're never getting Star Wars again. And that kind of was underwhelming. So I felt like that also made people not like them as much because they were disappointed. But once Disney got it, I think they're like, oh, okay, we're getting more. So maybe I can be a little more lax on the performance of those 3 films. But then I also, and a huge testament to the Clone Wars television animated show, that thing makes the prequels way better, and it serves it perfectly. It's like the cherry on top. So again, I want to just elaborate on the Clone Wars and just share our love for that and how it makes us appreciate the prequels even more, and especially Revenge of the Sith, now that we finally got the Siege of Mandalore arc with Ahsoka. I mean, I just rewatched Revenge of the Sith too, and I was thinking, I wonder what Ahsoka's doing right now, and we actually know the answer to that.
Yeah. Well, for me, I love my perspective from when the Disney acquisition happened in retrospect. I was in college. I was a freshman in college when the acquisition happened, and a buddy of mine who knew I was a big fan, he lived a few doors down from me in our hall. And he's like, DJ, hey, you got to come read this. You got to come read this. I was like, dude, what? Like, I'm trying to go to lunch. And he's like, look, Disney bought Star Wars. And I immediately was mad. I was frustrated. I was ticked. I was so mad because I was like, dadgummit, they're going to Mickey Mouse the heck out of this thing. And I was so mad. I was just so mad. And so then like the same day, Clone Wars is canceled. And I was like,
yeah, that was
I was so mad. And then, you know, as time went on, obviously I just said Rogue One's my favorite movie. Mm-hmm. And obviously my perspective since 2012 or 13, whenever that was, I think it was 2012, you know, obviously it's changed. And, Clone Wars has come back twice since then. And I saw this tweet the other day, and I wish I could give credit to who I saw it from. I don't remember, but they said Clone Wars really ended 3 times perfectly.
Yes.
And if you watch the end of season 5, Ahsoka's departure, it's beautiful. And I actually got choked up. I watched it the other day. I got choked up, and I was like, it's a cartoon character. I shouldn't be getting choked up over this. And then I watched the season 6, and same thing with Yoda. And then you get to season 7 and you're like, this is primo Star Wars. Like this is, if you're looking at a menu at a steakhouse, that's the prime rib. And you can't, it's so good to me. And so I'm right there with you. Clone Wars in a lot of ways definitely saved the prequels and gave us more to the lore, helped us understand some of those background characters. Cause even in like the first season or 2, you get to learn so much about all these different Jedi masters who were just kind of in the background. Mm-hmm. And I know Lucas was like, "What?" He would talk to Dave Filoni and be like, "What? Why do you care so much about Plo Koon?" And Filoni's like, "Why don't you? Like, you created the guy, so like you should care about." It. And it's a whole thing. So yeah, I'm with you. I mean, it's definitely served its purpose to give to the prequels, and not just the prequels, but now it's giving to Mando. And it's
absolutely.
I mean, we saw a live action Ahsoka, a live action Bo-Katan, and Luke Skywalker all within moments of each other, really, when you really break it down. So at any given time, those 3 or 2 or whoever can intersect and talk. And that's what the Clone Wars did. And it not only helped the prequels, it helped the sequels, it helped it did so much. It's kind of like I guess a giant glue, if you will, to the rest of the story.
No, I'm
one way
glad,
or another.
No, I'm glad you said that. And it does seem like, especially now that Filoni is involved with all these different projects, it seems like the Clone Wars is not slowly, it's already here. It's almost vital for everyone to see at this point, to continue watching all this new Star Wars content.
Yeah,
because it seems like Filoni's going to keep making those connections. Because why not? Why wouldn't he?
It's just so fun to watch. And some of my favorite parts are everything about Mandalore in the Clone Wars. And you know, now that we've seen the Mandalorian, and that part of the Clone Wars really answers a lot of the questions that you have going into the Mandalorian.
I'm a little curious. Have y'all ever sat down and watched just Mandalorian episodes of Clone Wars and Rebels?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I found a Screen Rant article a while back that leading up to Mando season 1, it said these are the essential, you know, Mandalorian episodes to watch from these shows. And I was like, all right, let's do it. So I did that, and season 7 had already come out of Clone Wars. Of course, Mando season 1 had come out. And so I was like, I want to figure out what the deal is going into season 2 of Mando. And I would not have been able to do that without those other shows. So I'm right there with you.
Absolutely. Any other thoughts Anybody here on this side of the screens got anything to say about Clone Wars or maybe even prequels?
It's just it just fills in like so much of this part of Star Wars that as kids we got a taste of it with the original Clone Wars animated series. I don't know if you got to see that, DJ, but I loved it because it allowed General Grievous to be the bad A that he was supposed to be. But we get to see that 10-year gap where this galactic war happened, and you hear about it when you're a kid, and you're like, oh, what all did they do? You know, what were the exploits of Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker? And we got to see it.
Yeah.
And it was really good to see all that.
All right. Well, first of all, it was great to have this conversation. It was great to reflect on all these different favorite memories from everyone. Because I think it's very clear that we've seen, it's great to see all this positive feedback, but also it's great to be reminded that Star Wars is for family. And I'm glad that we've got this family here on Mando Talk. And you know what, Rebel Scum Texan, you're now part of the family. So we really appreciate you being here. We appreciate you coming on to the show.
Man.
And I just kind of want to give you the floor and allow you to just kind of maybe say some final thoughts. So yeah, go ahead, go take it.
I wish I had expected this part. No, it's okay. First of all, thank you guys. I know I was just a draw out of the hat, and it could have been anybody on the show tonight, and it still, I think, would have been an incredible show without me. And you guys are the ones doing the Lord's work, if you will, out here, just grinding with the Star Wars community. And we're a weird community. And
yes. And
even lately it's been like, man, I want to escape so bad. And and there's times where I'll just hop on because I have other stuff, but like I'm mostly just Rebel Scum Texan on Twitter. I'm kind of perusing Twitter, finding different stuff every now and then. And when I came across you guys, it was kind of a neat blessing in a way, because it's like these are some good old boys, and they also like Star Wars. And I was like, that doesn't happen a lot. Even I'm in Texas, and there's plenty of good old boys. There's plenty of rednecks. There's plenty of country people out here, and I've been, I've rubbed elbows with all sorts of people, but it's not very often you come across guys like y'all. And as far as being Southern and also loving Star Wars, it's kind of cool to come across y'all four and as you mentioned, your wives and such, and it's really cool to know, hey, there's some good folk out there who don't mind a good chicken fried steak, and then they can watch it with Star Wars. It's like, absolutely. All right, let's do it. So
with a chicken fried steak with our blue milk.
Hey, absolutely. Man, now I want to try some blue gravy and see if I can get some color dye in there. I think I might have to. I don't know what that is. Way too Southern. But no, but y'all are fantastic, and I really appreciate it. I guess if I had to say anything to others listening, just keep loving Star Wars. Like I said, the world's been weird lately, and weird's putting it lightly. And even in the Star Wars community, I've seen stuff where it's like, man, but I think it's a very important thing for us to remember that we need to be united under something. And I know I'm getting kind of cliche here, but if Star Wars is what unites you, let it unite you. I'm tired of personally seeing division, and I know I'm not saying we can't have our opinions. Have our opinions.
Yeah, like BA.
Yeah,
BA not liking The Last Jedi.
But
what's up with this?
Hey, BA, I'm with you, man. Last Jedi did a number on me. I've told several people Rian Johnson made a great Rian Johnson film. He did not make a good Star Wars film.
Yeah. So everybody, all of our listeners, stay tuned for me and Rebel Scum Texan of the roast of The Last Jedi. We'll get that in the works.
That'll be something. No, but y'all, I guess that's all I really have to say about. I guess that's all I got to say about that. That's a different movie. Anyway. Yeah, that's all I got to say. Y'all are fantastic. Just thanks for letting me be here and hang out. And Larry is not in the room anymore. But you know what? I have one thing I need to I do need to show y'all.
Okay, what's that?
Well, I got to go away for a second. Hang on.
Okay, that's fine. Well, while you're doing that, we'll go ahead and do our plugs. Mando Talk, make sure you follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Mando Talk. We always like building the community, and there he is,
I just want
Rebel
y'all to know,
Scum Texan.
I can't hear a thing. And the rumors are true. I can't see a thing in this helmet. Hold on. Oh, hold on 1 second. One more thing.
Oh, yes.
It's amazing that we can do stuff like this.
Yes.
Like
That is
we
awesome.
shouldn't own helmets. We shouldn't own Boba Fett prototype helmets, and we shouldn't have fun little viewfinders, but we are blessed as Star Wars fans.
Yes, we are.
We are.
We're very blessed.
And I have bad hat hair. That's y'all's fault. Y'all gave me the hat.
Yeah, it's a great hat.
Well,
Let me get my ears back on. By the way, this hat is extremely comfortable.
Hey,
Appreciate it,
man.
And y'all chose a great hat brand. And yeah. And I'm not wearing my Mando Talk shirt tonight. I wore it earlier this week doing some construction work at our church, and it's gross. So I had to put that in the hamper. But anyway, yeah, I had to show that, let y'all check that one out.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, again, from all of us here at Mando Talk, thank you for coming on, Rebel Scum Texan. We really appreciate it. And again, where can people find you on social medias?
I was fortunate enough to get my handle at Rebel Scum Texan. And if you want to know more about me, my real life handle is in the bio. So go check that out.
And trust me, when you search Rebel Scum Texan, if there happens to be somebody trying to be Rebel Scum Texan, it's the one with the awesome logo, the avatar, biopic, whatever you want to call it.
Oh, yeah. I want to get that as an actual flag one of these days.
That would be epic. That would be absolutely epic. All right, BA, Jacob, we appreciate you both being here as always.
Yeah, good being here. Good to meet you, DJ.
I was glad to be here. Good to meet you guys.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you to all of you listening. Thank you to all the Star Wars fans that continue to support us. And again, Star Wars is family. We're all one big family, so we really appreciate it. I'll pass it on to the co-host, Nolan Ferris, to go ahead and send us out of here.
We have spoken.